Maya Rivers was 23. She thought her life was a quiet, pretty thing. She lived in a small apartment. The sun filled it every morning. It made dusty patterns on the wooden floors. She was studying psychology at the university. She loved learning about how people think and feel. She believed in the goodness of people. On the weekends, she would pack a small bag with her paints and brushes. She would walk to the lake and sit for hours. She painted the light on the water. Her life felt simple. It felt good. She laughed easily and often. She trusted people without a second thought. She held the soft, hopeful belief that good things were meant to last. Then she met Ethan Hale. It happened in the quiet of the university library. He stood near a tall stack of philosophy books. He looked up and smiled. It was a crooked smile. It felt shy and warm all at once. His eyes were kind. He talked to her about big ideas and small moments of beauty. He asked about her art. He really, truly listened when she spoke. He laughed at her jokes, even the silly ones. The day Ethan was finally coming to her family's home for dinner felt important. It felt like a beautiful test. As she waited for him to arrive, Maya felt proud. She felt a deep, settled calm. The house was filled with the smell of roasted chicken. Her parents were smiling. Everything was ready. The doorbell rang. Maya's heart did a little jump. Lena went to open the door, a welcoming smile on her face. But the smile vanished. Her face went pale, a stark white that scared Maya instantly.
Lena pulled Maya into the kitchen, her grip tight. "Maya, do you know who that is?" she whispered, her voice tight with something Maya couldn't name. Maya frowned, confused. "That's Ethan, my boyfriend." Lena's voice began to shake. She said, "That's Ethan Hale. He used to work with me at the law firm. He is the man who was arrested for beating his wife. She almost died."
The words were not just words. They were stones. They hit Maya with a cold, hard force. She could not breathe. The air in the warm kitchen turned to ice. Her mind started racing, a frantic scramble of questions, confusion, disbelief. This couldn't be true. Lena had to be mistaken. This was not the Ethan she knew. The Ethan she knew was gentle, kind, the man who brought her coffee, read her poetry. The room began to tilt. The happy sounds from the living room faded into a dull, distant buzz. She felt her sister's hand on her arm, steadying her. She mumbled an excuse. She said she felt sick. She and Ethan left. The car ride home was silent and heavy. She went back to her sunny apartment, but now it felt cold. It felt like a stranger's house. She waited for Ethan to leave so she could be alone with the spinning in her head. That night, she asked him to come back. She needed to look him in the eye. She needed to hear the truth from his mouth. When he sat on her couch, the silence was suffocating. With a voice she barely recognized as her own, she asked him. She asked him to tell her the truth, and he did not lie. He did not deny it. He told her yes. He said he had been violent. He said there had been a court case. He said he had gone to therapy. He looked at her with those same kind eyes and said, "I've changed, Maya. I am not that person anymore." A part of Maya, the hopeful part, wanted so desperately to believe him. She wanted to believe the man she had fallen in love with, the kind voice, the sweet, crooked smile. She wanted to believe that people could change, that his past was truly in the past. But something deep inside her had broken, a tiny hairline crack in the foundation of her trust. She could no longer look at him the same way. The image of the man in the library was now superimposed with a darker, more frightening one. A small seed of fear began to grow in the pit of her stomach, a cold and persistent dread she could not ignore. She tried to push it down. She tried to live with the two Ethans. There was the one she knew, sweet, warm, funny, attentive. Then there was the other one, the one from the stories, the one from the past. But slowly, the two started to merge. His attention began to feel like surveillance. He started calling more, his voice tight when he asked where she was. He wanted to know her plans for every hour of every day. At first, Maya told herself this was his way of trying to be close. She told herself that his past trauma made him anxious. She thought she was strong enough to handle it. She thought her love could help him, could keep the darkness at bay. She was wrong. One night, the fear she had tried to bury came knocking at her door. It came in the form of Ethan, uninvited. He stood in her hallway. She could smell the alcohol on his breath before he even spoke. His kind eyes were gone. In their place was something hard and unfamiliar. He was angry about something small, a text she hadn't answered quickly enough, a friend she had met for coffee without telling him. The argument started quietly, a low rumble of accusations. It grew, louder and more frantic. His voice filled her small apartment. It felt like it could snap. The argument moved into the kitchen, the heart of her home. A glass shattered. It fell and broke into 1,000 sharp pieces on the floor. The sound was like a gunshot in the quiet night. A neighbor shouted from next door, muffled through the wall. The shout broke the spell for a moment. Maya knew she had to leave. She turned to walk away, out of the kitchen, out of the apartment, out of this nightmare. But he moved faster. He grabbed her arm, his grip like iron. She tried to pull away. He was too strong. The man she loved, the man she had trusted, hit her. The pain was sharp. It was sudden. A brutal shock stole the air from her lungs. Black stars exploded behind her eyes. The hospital room was a white box. It held no color. Maya felt like she was in a white box too. Her body ached, but the pain inside was worse. It was a hollow, echoing hurt. The fracture in her arm was a clean break, the doctor said. It would heal. But the break inside her felt jagged and deep. Trust was broken. Safety was broken. Her belief in her own judgment was broken. When she finally went home, her sunny apartment felt haunted. The couch where they had talked for hours. The kitchen where he had hit her. The place on the floor where the glass had shattered. She felt like a ghost in her own life, floating through rooms that were no longer hers. Shame was a heavy blanket she couldn't throw off. She felt stupid. She felt naive. She had been warned. Her own sister had tried to tell her, but she had chosen to believe his sweet words over the hard facts. She replayed every conversation, every touch, every moment. She searched for clues she might have missed. Were his compliments a form of control? Was his attentiveness a form of possession? The questions circled in her mind, relentless and cruel. She avoided her friends. She didn't know what to say. How could she explain that the man she had praised and adored was the same man who had put her in the hospital? The gap between those two truths felt too wide to bridge with words. Her family wrapped her in a fragile cocoon of support. Lena moved in for the first week, sleeping on the couch. She didn't push Maya to talk. She just made tea. She put on old movies they both loved. She made sure Maya ate something, even if it was just a few bites of toast. Her parents called, their voices thick with worry, but they never once said, "I told you so." Their unconditional love was a small, steady light in the overwhelming darkness. But even with their help, Maya felt profoundly alone. The battle was inside her own head. The first therapy session was the hardest thing she had ever done. Simply walking into the office felt like an admission of defeat. She sat across from a woman with kind eyes and a calm presence. Maya couldn't speak at first. The words were trapped behind a wall of tears. When she finally started talking, it all came out in a messy, painful rush. The love, the lie, the fear, the violence. She talked until she was hoarse. The therapist just listened. She didn't judge. She didn't offer easy answers. She just held the space for Maya's pain. At the end of the hour, Maya felt exhausted, but also a tiny bit lighter. She had taken the first step. She had spoken the truth of her story out loud. Healing was not a straight line. It was a slow, messy, circular path. Slow, messy, circular. There were good days. There were terrible days. On the good days, Maya could get out of bed. She could take a shower. She could sit by the window and feel the sun on her face. On the terrible days, the weight of it all was too much. The fear would come back in a sudden suffocating wave. A loud noise in the hallway would make her jump. A man's raised voice on the street below could send her spiraling. Her therapist taught her to name these feelings. To say, "This is fear, this is a memory. I am safe now." It was a small tool, but it was something to hold on to. Slowly, carefully, she began to rebuild her life. Small things helped. Her sister Lena would sit with her on the floor and help her sort through old photos, creating new piles of happy memories that didn't include him. Her friends, once they knew, didn't run away. They showed up. They brought soup. They brought bad movies. They brought ice cream. They didn't offer advice. They just offered their presence. They sat with her in the quiet and let her know she was not alone. The women at the support group she started attending were also a lifeline. Strangers who understood without her having to explain the deepest, most painful parts. They had walked this path too. Art became her sanctuary. For weeks after the attack, her paints sat untouched, collecting dust in the corner. The thought of creating something beautiful felt impossible when she felt so broken. But one afternoon, Her sister gently placed a blank canvas on her easel. She didn't say anything. She just left it there. For days, Maya just looked at it. A white, empty square. Then, one day, she picked up a brush. The first paintings were dark. She used blacks, deep blues, angry reds. She didn't paint scenes, she painted feelings, jagged lines, heavy suffocating shapes. It was her pain, made visible. Painting was a way to get the poison out. Over time, something began to shift. The colors on her palette started to change. A little bit of yellow appeared, a soft, gentle green, a hopeful sky blue. She started painting the lake again, but she painted it differently now. She wasn't just capturing the light on the water, she was studying it, fascinated by the way light could find its way into the darkest corners. She painted the soft glow of dawn through the morning mist, the reflection of a single street lamp on a rain-slicked street. Her brush moved more slowly now. Each stroke felt more intentional. The art felt like soft, patient work for a tired, healing heart. It was a form of prayer. Maya also started to volunteer. Her therapist had suggested it, a way to step outside of her own story. She found a local women's shelter, a place for women and children leaving violent homes. The first time she walked through the doors, her heart pounded. It was hard. It was triggering. But she stayed. She helped in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, stirring pots of soup. She sat with women and listened, read letters aloud, played with their children, building towers, coloring pages. She never spoke like a teacher or a savior. She spoke like a friend. Helping others gave Maya a purpose that felt new and true, born from her own pain, leading her toward strength. 1 year later, Maya had her first gallery show. Her new paintings hung on the clean white walls of a small community gallery. It was a collection she called Light in the Cracks. People came, friends, family, professors, strangers. They walked slowly through the room. They leaned in close to see the details. They asked her about the soft, resilient light that seemed to glow from within each canvas. She told them, simply, that she had learned to see hope in small, unexpected places. She smiled, and the smile felt real. It reached her eyes. She knew the hurt was part of her story now. It would always be there, a quiet scar. But she also knew she had grown around it. Her life did not go back to the way it was before Ethan. Some things could never be taken back. Her easy, unguarded trust in the world was gone. But in its place was something more durable, a trust in herself. She learned to be careful, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. She learned that kindness and danger can look alike at first glance. She learned that asking for help is not a weakness, but the bravest thing a person can do. She had learned to build a life that was strong and true, a life that no one could break again. Her life was beautiful, but a different kind of beautiful now. It was stronger. It was wiser. At the show, she stood by the painting of the lake she had finished that spring. The gallery lights hit the canvas just right. They illuminated the soft waves and the small, sturdy boat floating peacefully in the water. She thought of the first days with Ethan. She thought of the night that changed everything. She thought of the long, slow, painful days of healing. And she felt a quiet sense of peace. All of it was part of the painting. All of it was part of her. The darkness gave the light its meaning. The pain gave the peace its depth.